On Thanksgiving morning, waking up in my Chicago apartment, family anxiety settled over my chest. Another year, another family reunion. This year's meeting place was Brackers, a luxurious resort hotel in Palm Beach, Florida. It was our annual family trip, with all expenses covered by my grandfather. As I did one last check of my suitcase, I let out a deep sigh. I looked at my reflection in the mirror. I am Enan Walker, 33 years old, research director at a pharmaceutical company. I make $160,000 a year and live alone in Chicago. I have steadily built my assets through careful investments. Money is important, but dignity is even more precious. My grandfather's words echoed in my mind. He is a successful businessman who made his fortune in construction. Everything I know about management, I learned from him. From childhood, he enthusiastically taught me about investments and asset management. He is the only one in the family who truly understands me. In stark contrast is my sister, Catherine. A former flight attendant turned full-time housewife, she lives a seemingly thriving life with her husband and 7-year-old daughter. However, this lifestyle would not be possible without the monthly support of our grandfather. Her high mortgage payments, car loans, and her daughter's private school tuition are all covered by Grandpa's help. Yet, Catherine's social media is flooded with glamorous posts, new designer handbags, dinners at expensive restaurants, lavish vacations. She seems obsessed with portraying a lifestyle that is far from reality. My parents, George and Margaret, seem to enjoy a comfortable retirement life in Florida, but that would not be sustainable either without Grandpa's help. Planning their retirement fund, the deposit for the luxury nursing home, it all depends on Grandpa. My parents have always been cold to me but lenient to my sister. That has not changed since childhood. During my college years, I covered my tuition with scholarships and earned living expenses through part-time jobs. Meanwhile, my sister was completely dependent on our parents for everything from study abroad expenses to living costs. The disparity remains a painful memory. Become someone who can support themselves. That was another of my grandfather's sayings. I have lived by those words, studying and working desperately to become independent. I built my career in the pharmaceutical industry. I increased my assets through investments and created a life that needed no support from anyone. The high-rise apartment overlooking the Chicago skyline, I earned through my efforts. Moderate luxury within my means, that's the life I've chosen. As I lifted my suitcase, the anxiety over this year's Thanksgiving intensified. Each year, our family's distorted relationships only deepened. My sister's competition for appearances, our parents' skewed affection, and grandfather's worried gaze. In the taxi to the airport, I contemplated this year's trip. Brackers, a prestigious 5-star hotel established in 1896, with Italian Renaissance architecture and luxury suites that exceed $800 a night. The special Thanksgiving dinner was said to cost $200 a person. Despite the glamorous surroundings, the reality of our family was fragile and distorted. My sister's luxurious lifestyle and our parents' comfortable retirement were all castles built on the sand of grandfather's support. And this year, those distortions were about to reach their breaking point. Everyone must have noticed, but no one dared speak of the reality that now awaited us. Through the taxi window from Palm Beach International Airport to Brackers, the soft light of the Florida sun streamed in on Thanksgiving Day. I arrived at the luxury resort in pleasant weather. I was the last to arrive. Pulling my navy blue suitcase, I entered the magnificent Italian Renaissance-style building. My simple yet elegant Tiori dress had slightly wrinkled during the long flight. The lobby stretched out like a clean and dignified space. Above, luxurious chandeliers shone, and below, footsteps echoed quietly on the marble floor. Other guests were already enjoying their Thanksgiving afternoon. On my way to the front desk, I saw my parents. They seemed to be discussing something in a secluded area of the lobby. My mother was wearing what looked like a new dress from the resort, while my father was dressed in a casual manner appropriate for his age. When our gazes met, they quickly averted theirs. "Miss Walker, I apologize, but I can't find your reservation." The reception staff's voice was hesitant. "Excuse me?" They kept checking the screen repeatedly, unable to hide their confusion. I can see your family members' reservations." At that moment, the sound of expensive heels approached. I turned around to see Catherine walking towards us with a triumphant expression, a Hermes Birkin bag on her arm, and a Cartier watch shimmering on her wrist. "Oh, Helen, you're finally here." Her voice held a deliberate sarcasm. The front desk staff continued checking the system. The other guests' attention began to turn toward us. "How strange that there is no reservation." Catherine's voice rose in volume, calculated to draw the attention of those around us. Her Louis Vuitton suitcase stood out conspicuously next to my navy blue suitcase. Catherine approached with a victorious smile. "I only made reservations for our family," she said. Her words echoed throughout the lobby. With a mocking expression, she continued, "A room for me, my husband and daughter, and one for Mom and Dad. Just for the royal family." There was a moment of silence. The front desk staff were speechless, and our parents turned their backs even further on us. The air around me felt frozen in an instant. Taking a slow, deep breath, I said without changing my expression, "I see. Then I'll be going." My voice came out quieter than I expected. Readjusting my grip on the suitcase handle, I nodded politely to the front desk staff. I pulled out my smartphone and opened the app to call a cab. "Wait," Catherine's voice rose slightly, but I was already preparing to leave the lobby. Feeling the sympathetic gaze of the front desk staff, I started walking towards the entrance. My sister, although surprised by this unexpected development, kept her triumphant expression. Our parents stood awkwardly frozen in place. Only the sound of my footsteps echoed in the silent lobby. The afternoon sunlight that streamed in through the main entrance felt strangely bright. As I waited for the cab, the palm trees swayed in the pleasant breeze. The Thanksgiving holiday I was supposed to spend at this luxury resort was over in just a few minutes. However, at this moment, a strange feeling of liberation spread through my heart. The words of my grandfather resurfaced again. "Become someone who can stand on their own." Now, I felt like I understood the true meaning of those words. During the few minutes I waited for the cab, I took in the magnificent exterior of the hotel. The Adam-style architecture told a story of over 100 years of history, lavishly decorated for Thanksgiving celebrations. Luxury cars arrived with well-dressed families exiting them. Through the glass of the lobby, I could see my niece, Ami, in an expensive dress unsuitable for a 7-year-old girl. She was fidgeting behind her mother. Maybe she was looking for me. Every Thanksgiving, it had been my tradition to bring her a gift. This year, I prepared a pearl hair clip for her. It was still beautifully wrapped in my suitcase. Getting into the taxi that had arrived, I told the driver to go to Palm Beach International Airport. On my smartphone, I was already looking for the next available flight to Chicago. Although plane tickets are expensive during Thanksgiving, that didn't bother me at all. Rather, the emotional energy I had wasted every year during the season seemed much more expensive. Through the rearview mirror, the De Breaker building was getting smaller. Its gleaming form in the afternoon sun seemed to symbolize the superficial glamour of our family, and now the first crack in that facade had appeared. I couldn't predict what would happen next, but one thing was certain: there was no turning back. The interior of the taxi provided a quiet space, protected from the clamor outside. The air conditioning maintained a pleasant coolness, and the premium leather seats gradually relieved the earlier tension. Outside the window passed the distinctive Palm Beach resort landscape, carefully aligned palm trees, white luxury houses, and ostentatious occasional sights of the sparkling surface of the Atlantic. The sights that normally captivated me now felt strangely distant. I pulled out my smartphone and dialed my grandfather's number without hesitation. The ring owned before he picked up seemed longer than usual. "Helen, what's up?" Grandfather's voice had his usual composure. "I have something to report," I began, speaking in a matter-of-fact tone. I relayed the hotel's instructions without emotion, just the facts, the reservation that was missing, just for me, Catherine's words, and how I left. I explained everything chronologically. On the other end of the line, I could hear grandfather's breathing become slightly raspy. I could tell he was holding back his anger. However, I didn't add any words seeking compassion. "I understand. I'll take care of this from here." Grandfather's voice was low and gravelly. In these few words, there was a premonition of what was to come. Shortly after hanging up, the incoming calls began to flood in. First from Catherine, more than 10 missed calls logged in 15 minutes. Helen, I wanted to see you. I was looking forward to our annual Thanksgiving. Can you think about a little girl's feelings? My friends are coming over for dinner tonight. I was planning on posting the perfect family Thanksgiving on Instagram. Do you know how embarrassing it is to explain this situation? Catherine's voice was getting more and more hysterical. Between these calls, I started getting emails from our parents. We could have added another room, but like Catherine said, we prioritized the royal family. You're independent now. Why don't you get another room with your salary? It shouldn't be a big deal. Why are you so sentimental? The next email even included malicious calculations. Catherine has a family, a husband, and a daughter. You get it, right? Can't you just bear it in silence for Thanksgiving? That's always been your problem, only yourself. You never consider family. My mother continued in a tone that made me sound like the villain. We had everything planned out for social media posts. We were supposed to take beautiful pictures of Ami. Everything is ruined now. My chest tightened with every message I read, but these were words I should have been used to by now. Since childhood, my sister and I have always been treated with this same kind of discrimination. As the taxi pulled up to the airport, a new wave of messages came through. For your selfishness, Ami is crying. She had been waiting so long to see her aunt. My sister kept using her daughter as a shield until the very end. Behind her, I could only see my mother's vanity and pride. More sarcastic emails came in. Poor Catherine. If you knew how desperate she is for Ami's future, you wouldn't understand. But children's education requires money. Yet, at a time like this, I didn't feel the need to respond. If anything, I felt grateful that they had shown their true intentions so blatantly. Just before we reached the airport, an email came through from Grandpa. I'm proud of your decision. I understand everything. Hearing those words, my eyes were briefly filled with warmth. However, these weren't tears of sadness, but rather a quiet determination, marking the beginning of a new chapter. My smartphone kept receiving incoming calls, persistent, anxious messages from my sister saying, "Answer the phone right now." Accusatory emails from our parents claimed, "Your selfishness is tearing the family apart." But I had already reached a place where no one's voice could reach me. As I got out of the taxi, I started walking towards the international terminal. As I booked my flight to Chicago, I felt a strange sense of liberation. This was the moment to free myself from the fake royal family. About 30 minutes after boarding the plane bound for Chicago, a new email from Grandpa arrived. All family members were included in the recipients. The following is my final decision to be announced. The email began in Grandpa's dignified style. Today, at Thanksgiving, an incident occurred that seriously damaged the dignity of our family. The cruel treatment of Helen is an affront to the family name, Walker, and cannot be tolerated under any circumstances. Effective immediately, I am freezing all financial support to George, Margaret, and Catherine. I must remind them that their luxurious lifestyles are dependent on my support. Those who have lost sight of the essence of family, drowning in vanity, no longer qualify for such privilege. Just as I finished reading that part, calls from my sister started coming in. Her state of panic was evident by the frequency of incoming calls. "Helen, please answer the phone. Convince Grandpa." The messages left on the voicemail recorded my sister's panicked voice. It was clear that her life would become unsustainable without the monthly payments. All her living expenses had been structured around grandfather's monthly support of $30,000. Emails also came from our parents. Their previous arrogant attitude was gone, replaced by desperate pleas. "Helen, it's about our retirement. Could you please talk to your grandfather again, one more time?" The $150,000 deposit for my father's lavish retirement home would be lost, and his health insurance subsidies would stop. Our parents seemed to be panicking at the reality that their retirement stability was crumbling in an instant. "Do something. He will listen to you if it's you." No, my mother's email contained unknown words of apology. "I'm sorry. I've said such terrible things before, but this is a family crisis." I turned off my smartphone silently. A sea of clouds stretched outside the window. The perfect family photos at Thanksgiving that had been posted on social media every year would not be uploaded this year. For Catherine, that could be an even bigger blow than the financial impact. The plane was heading steadily toward Chicago without turbulence. The passenger next to me seemed to be contemplating Thanksgiving dinner preparations, looking at recipes on his smartphone. Normally, at this time, he would have been giving me his gift in the hotel lounge after landing. When I connected to my home Wi-Fi in Chicago, there were over 100 unread messages. Most were from my sister, and their content was getting more and more frantic. What am I supposed to do? I won't be able to pay back the loans. What about Ami's school fees? Our parents' emails had also become more serious. We might not be able to get the nursing home deposit back. What are we supposed to do now? I can't sleep at night thinking about the health insurance. However, what caught my attention the most was Grandpa's final notice sent to all family members. This measure is irreversible. Consider the consequences of your actions. Any objection to my decision will result in the termination of all remaining support. I calmly read the incoming messages. His previous arrogant attitude had completely changed to desperate pleading. Never before had the true nature of each family member been revealed so clearly. Leaving my smartphone, I prepared in the kitchen. By now, I would normally be enjoying the luxurious hotel dinner, a special Thanksgiving dish worth $200 per person. Remembering that amount made me smile slightly. Every year, my sister's family posted about this lavish dinner on social media, but in reality, they had been struggling to even make the monthly credit card payments. A new call came, this time from my sister's husband. Mixed with panic and confusion, there were words criticizing his wife's spending habits. It seemed cracks were starting to appear in their marriage as well. More pleas came, specifically about our parents. The nursing home will not refund the advance payment of $150,000. The health insurance will be self-funded starting next month because of you. After those words, there was a repetition of defending my sister and criticizing me. It was as if they had learned nothing. I took a lemon from the refrigerator and added it to my tea. Tomorrow, I will return to work as usual. A new research data analysis on the pharmaceutical company project awaited me. An annual salary of $160,000, investment trusts steadily accumulated, a stable living foundation built by my efforts. Outside the window, the night view of Chicago was shining quietly. The lights of the skyscrapers were like stars. Suddenly, I remembered my credit card statement, paid in full each month, moderate luxury within my means, no debt. Grandpa's favorite saying came back to me, vanity is for others, savings are for you. In this city, I made my living through my efforts. As Grandpa had said, become someone who can support herself. And now, I felt deeply that that choice had been the right one. From my smartphone, the incoming calls kept ringing, but they were voices that would no longer reach me. 2 weeks after Thanksgiving, in early December, Chicago was covered by its first snowfall. The days went by with new projects at the pharmaceutical company's lab. Amidst the unchanging daily routine, my family's situation had undergone drastic changes. The changes were first noticed on social media. My sister's Instagram, which had been updated almost daily, had suddenly gone silent. Her last post was from the day before Thanksgiving, a picture of her Hermes bag in a fancy restaurant, tagged with a dream lifestyle. The comments that said, "What a wonderful life," now seemed painfully ironic. My father's emails finally showed genuine remorse. I'm reflecting on our years of extravagant living. We spoiled Catherine too much and were cold to you. I'm sorry. Similar messages came from my mother. With her health insurance subsidies cut off, they were finally realizing the true cost of healthcare. Our pension alone is not enough. I finally understand how luxuriously we were living. Catherine's situation was even more dire. I received an unexpected call from her husband. I have discovered hidden debts that she kept secret. I am shocked by the credit card bills. We can no longer maintain this lifestyle with Grandpa's support suddenly cut off. His facade of opulence is rapidly crumbling. We are considering moving to a cheaper house. We are also looking into public schools for Ami. Catherine cries every night, her voice mixed with exhaustion and resignation. Her marriage itself seemed to be in crisis. In contrast, my life was still peaceful. I get to work at 8 in the morning and come home at 6 in the evening. Weekends are spent attending investment study groups, reviewing the management of my savings, and continuing my life within reason. Fair. Yesterday, I was promoted to team leader for a new research project. It is expected that my salary will gradually increase. The investment trust operations went well. Without worries for the future, vanity brings momentary satisfaction. Savings bring peace of mind for life. The weight of grandfather's words now felt deep. All day, my family worried, my parents about retirement and security, and my sister about debt repayment. I just continued my ordinary life. During these 2 weeks, the frequency of emails and calls had significantly decreased. The desperate contacts that came in daily for the first few days had been reduced to once or twice a week. Their content, too, was gradually shifting towards resignation. To me, we will be transferring to a public school. We will take the school bus. My sister's last email was showing signs of accepting reality. The dreamy private school life she had shared on social media would never be reposted. Our parents were also considering moving from their luxurious Florida community to an affordable condo, struggling with paying medical bills. Their dream of a lavish retirement had easily crumbled. We have been living with wrong values for years. That is what was written in the last email from my father. However, it remained uncertain whether this realization would become a catalyst for restoring true family ties. Last week, I received a concise email from Grandpa. Awakening to the truth of life sometimes brings pain, but it is a necessary pain. Your decision taught them an important lesson. I didn't reply. I just kept the email silent. In the winter sky of Chicago, new stars were shining. 3 months after that Thanksgiving, the first signs of spring were beginning to appear in Chicago. My life had not changed, or rather, it had become even more fulfilling. The new project at the pharmaceutical company was moving forward without a hitch. Last week, I received notification of a promotion. My achievements as research director were recognized, and my salary would be increased to $200,000. The investment trust operations were also going well, with assets continuing to grow steadily. From my office window, I could see the vast surface of Lake Michigan. The waves glistening in the spring sunlight conveyed a quiet hope. New research data was piling up on my desk. The time immersed in work was my most precious time. The other day, a birthday gift arrived from Grandpa, a simple pearl necklace. The attached card had a single line written in his elegant handwriting. The true brilliance lies in those who keep to themselves. I had begun to maintain minimal contact with my parents. They had moved from their luxurious Florida community to an affordable condo. Struggling with paying medical bills, they seemed to be gradually adjusting to reality. Luxury brings momentary joy, but there is genuine security in a down-to-earth lifestyle. My mother's email and experience to young researchers. On holidays, I attended study groups on investing and economics. The people I met there led solid, practical lives. The conversations, sincere, free of pretense and vanity, were refreshing. The Thanksgiving incident had left important lessons for each family member: the importance of financial independence, the emptiness of a pretentious lifestyle, and, above all, the true meaning of family. Grandpa's final words were still in my heart. True bonds can only be born after overcoming hardships. In my desk drawer, the pearl hair clip I had prepared as a gift for Ami was still beautifully wrapped. Someday, when she realizes the true value, when she understands the importance of standing on her own instead of counting likes on social media, maybe that will be the right time to give her this hair clip. Outside the window, the early spring winds whispered through the trees on the street, as if announcing the beginning of a new season.